What if I told you that the fiercest battle you'll ever face isn't out there in the world? It's happening silently, right here, inside your mind. Not your boss, not your circumstances, not society. It's you. The version of you that hesitates, that entertains doubt, that listens to fear instead of potential. And here's the twist. This battle isn't fought with fists or firepower. It's fought with choices, quiet, daily choices that shape who you are becoming. Every single thought, every excuse, every pause fueled by fear. That's the battlefield. The real obstacle isn't some force out there trying to stop you. It's the subtle voice inside whispering, play it safe, wait a little longer. Maybe you're not ready. But here's the truth. The Stoics understood long before us. Self-belief isn't discovered. It's built. It's not a magical feeling that descends upon you. It's a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows only through resistance. Every time you confront self-doubt, every time you silence the voice that tells you to quit, you strengthen the muscle of belief. You rise above the sum of your fears. You become unshakable. So what does it take to win this invisible war? It takes more than motivation. It takes action, relentless, disciplined action. It takes a rock-solid identity, forged in adversity. It takes a mindset that doesn't bend every time life pushes hard. You have to grasp this brutal yet liberating truth. No one is coming to save you. And that's not a curse. It's a calling. You don't need rescuing. You need belief. Belief in your strength, belief in your resilience, belief in your power to rise through anything life throws at you. This isn't just motivation. This is your story, the story of self-mastery, the battle of you versus you, and today you make a choice. Will you rise above the storm inside, or will you be swept away by it? Chapter 1. The Enemy. Within, the Stoics said it with piercing clarity, or we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca. That simple statement holds a profound truth. The war within isn't against the world, it's against how you perceive the world. It's your fear, your anxiety, your procrastination, your inner distortions. These don't come from outside forces. They are born from how you interpret challenge and discomfort. Think of a blacksmith hammering steel into a blade. The steel doesn't become sharp without heat and pressure. You are the steel. Every doubt is the flame. Every moment you want to quit is the hammer. And life? It's shaping you, or breaking you. The enemy within doesn't roar. It whispers. It sneaks in. During your moments of comfort, when you're off guard, it tells you you've earned this break, even when you haven't. It persuades you to choose ease just for today. It doesn't strike when danger is real. It waits until your willpower weakens in silence, until your mind starts negotiating. The Stoics, they saw this clearly. They knew, if you don't master that inner voice, it will master you. You remember what we said. If you don't master your mind, it will master you. And the Stoics were crystal clear. This mastery isn't a one-time triumph. It's not a trophy you win once and display forever. It's a daily discipline, a battle you must willingly step into each morning, whether you feel ready or not. The enemy within doesn't come as a single identifiable voice. It shows up as a chorus, a mix of excuses, doubts, fears, all cleverly dressed up as logic, concern, or even wisdom. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And every time you hesitate, every time you let it steer your actions, it grows stronger, like a parasite that feeds on your passivity. This is the difficult paradox. The lesson is simple, but living it is profoundly hard. You have to notice the battle before you can fight it. And most people, they don't even realize they're in a war. They walk through life unaware that their thoughts are shaping their prison, confusing that internal voice for truth, never pausing to ask, wait, is this real fear? Or just a conditioned response to discomfort? To win this battle, you have to become your own observer, not passively, like a leaf drifting on a stream, but with fierce curiosity and uncompromising honesty. You must learn to pause, even in the chaos of a busy day, and interrogate your thoughts like a detective grilling a witness. Why am I thinking this? What's underneath this hesitation? What am I trying to avoid? Shine a light into the hidden corners of your mind, the places where you justify delays, where you defend your own weakness, where you secretly give yourself permission to shrink, even when life is calling you to expand. That voice in your head, it wears many masks. Some days it sounds like exhaustion. Other days it pretends to be caution or even logic cloaked in fake wisdom. If it helps, give it a name. Call it resistance. Call it fear. Call it the whisperer. It doesn't matter what you name it. What matters is that you recognize it when it speaks. Train yourself to catch it mid-sentence, to interrupt it and ask, is this voice helping me grow or just keeping me safe? Now understand this. You'll never silence that voice forever. That's not the goal, and truthfully, it's not possible. That voice is a part of you, a reflection of past wounds, old fears, childhood conditioning. It will always be there, like a shadow following behind you. But here's what you can do. Each time you act in spite of it, each time you choose discipline over comfort, action over delay, you chip away at its grip on your life. You don't need to destroy it. You simply need to stop listening, and that right there is how you win the battle of you versus you. Not with a grand gesture, not with a public declaration, but with quiet, steady decisions, made when no one is watching. One choice, one pause, one powerful moment of self-awareness. That's how strength is built, from the inside out. Remember, those quiet decisions you make when no one is watching, they're not small. Over time, they become the foundation of an unstoppable identity. So the next time you hesitate, pause. Ask yourself honestly, is this hesitation coming from the outside world or from within me? And don't let the moment slip away. Write it down. Start a journal, not to vent, but to investigate. Document the moments when self-doubt creeps in. Dissect them like a scientist studying a strange specimen. Where did they come from? What triggered them? Were they rooted in reality or in fear? Because the more clearly you see the enemy, the more power you reclaim from it. Epictetus once said, "You may not control the events, but you can control how you react to them." That single sentence holds a truth most people never fully grasp. Because in the chaos of daily life, in the noise and distraction, we forget. Every single day, without fail, you are presented with a choice. And that choice isn't neutral. It's not just a decision, it's a battlefield. You versus you. The war doesn't wait until you step outside. It starts the moment you open your eyes. Before you even lift your head from the pillow, before your feet hit the floor, the first battle begins. In those early, fragile seconds, your mind is vulnerable, unguarded. And the enemy knows this. You can choose to reach for your phone, to drown your thoughts in the noise of notifications, to scroll endlessly through curated images of other people's lives. You can flood your mind with trivialities and surrender your precious attention to empty stimulation. Or you can choose differently. You can rise, not just physically, but mentally. You can decide to start the day on your terms. To take control brick by brick, habit by habit, decision by decision. You can choose to numb yourself with shallow comforts, a sugar rush, a mindless show, another meaningless scroll. Or you can lean into discomfort, the kind of discomfort that signals growth, that tells you you're building something real. You can give in to fear, let your thoughts spiral, let doubt consume you. Overthink until you're frozen in the loop of what if and maybe not. Or you can take that one brave step forward, even when every part of you wants to stay hidden, even when your mind is screaming, retreat. Because here's what most people forget. Every choice you make, no matter how small, is a vote, a thread woven into the fabric of your identity, a step toward who you are becoming. And yet, most people, they want the reward without the resistance, a strong mind without carrying the weight of self-responsibility, confidence without conflict, power without pressure, growth without growing pains. They want to feel unshakable but never confront the moments that shake them. They want resilience without ever planting the seeds of hardship. But the Stoics knew the truth. Choice is not free. Choice is a burden. It's a weight you must lift every single day. And the more weight you choose to carry, the stronger you will become beneath it, if you have the courage to carry it. It's a brutal paradox. The harder the choices, the easier the life. The easier the choices, the harder the life. So remember this. Every choice you make, no matter how tiny, is a vote, and those votes add up. Over time, they silently sculpt who you become, day by day, moment by moment. The Stoics never wasted energy complaining about the hand life dealt them. They understood something most people still resist. Life is indifferent to your desires. Fate doesn't ask for your opinion. Fortune doesn't care about your plans or your preferences. Instead of crying over the cards they were given, they poured everything they had into playing that hand, better than anyone else possibly could. Because they knew, control is never found in your circumstances. It's found in your response. It doesn't matter what cards life places in your hands. What matters is how you play them, how you move within your limits, how you turn obstacles into opportunities. And here's the truth few people realize. Every single time you choose discipline over distraction, focus over chaos, effort over ease, you win a quiet, invisible battle. You might not notice it in the moment. These victories often feel small, almost insignificant. But like drops of water cutting through stone, they add up. Each drop is a choice. Each choice carves out the shape of your character. Every time you repeat the pattern of discipline, you're etching a groove, deeper and stronger, into your identity. And over time, those grooves become a current, a force powerful enough to transform you from who you are now into who you were meant to be. But beware of the trap we all fall into. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," you're not just postponing a task. You're casting a vote, a real one, for the weaker, more hesitant version of yourself. You're giving that inner voice of fear and comfort more control. You're handing it the reins, the one that whispers excuses and lulls you into delay, the one that dulls your ambition and makes mediocrity feel safe. You are, without realizing it, voting to stay small, to push away your own potential. But every time you say, "I'll do it now," even when you're tired, uncomfortable, unmotivated, you're casting a vote for the stronger you, the version of you that acts with purpose, that doesn't wait for the perfect mood or moment, but creates both through willpower and discipline. You remind yourself, you are not a victim of emotion. You are the architect of action. Each now you choose lays another brick, in the fortress of integrity, in the stronghold of your future self. So begin seeing every decision, no matter how small, as a vote. When you wake up, when you eat, when you speak, ask yourself, who am I voting for right now? The weak me or the strong me? This simple mindset shift will train you to make better decisions without needing motivation. Chapter 3. Discipline over motivation. Here's where. Most people get it wrong. The world is obsessed with motivation. It glorifies the spark, the hype, the surge of adrenaline that makes everything feel possible. For a moment. Social media is flooded with quotes and reels promising to change your life in 10 seconds. But the Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work, as a human being." That wasn't a call to chase motivation. It was a call to live by reason and duty, even when you feel absolutely nothing, because motivation is fleeting. It's like a gust of wind. It shows up when conditions are right and disappears the second the skies change. It's a spark, not a flame. It fades before it fuels anything lasting, because it depends on your mood, your energy, and your environment, all things outside your control. So yes, motivation may light a spark, but only discipline can build a fire that never dies. Motivation is like a guest who shows up uninvited. It knocks on your door when it feels like it, stays briefly, and disappears before you've had time to do anything meaningful. It is unpredictable, inconsistent, conditional. It cannot be trusted. But discipline? Discipline is a resident. It lives inside you. It doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on the commitment you make to yourself, and that's what makes it powerful. Discipline is the difference between hoping you'll rise and deciding you will. It's the line that separates dreamers from doers. Because this internal war, the daily battle of you versus you, is never won by feeling good. It's never won by waking up in the perfect mood, full of fire and clarity, ready to conquer the world. No, it is won by doing the work, anyway, by choosing action over comfort, even when you're tired, even when doubt is louder than drive, in fact, especially when you don't feel like it. That's where real strength is born. Not in the presence of motivation, but in the absence of it. It's forged in the silence. When no one is clapping, no one is watching, no one is cheering you on, it's forged in the stillness. When the only sound is your own resistance telling you to rest, and you choose to rise anyway. It's in that moment, when your mind urges you to quit, but you take one more step. When your body aches and your soul feels empty, but you persist. That's the secret the world doesn't talk about. The best version of you is not born in inspiration. It's born in monotony, in quiet, steady repetition, in disciplined effort that no one else sees. You will not always feel inspired. You won't always feel ready. There will be mornings when you wake up with a heavy chest, fatigue pressing down like a weighted blanket, and doubt echoing in your head like a drumbeat. There will be days when the darkness in your mind outweighs the light, when your body is sore and every part of you whispers, "Take it easy, just stay small," but that is not failure, that is life. That is being human, and that's exactly the point. Strength is not acting when you feel like it. It's acting regardless. It's showing up because you said you would. It's following through because you made a promise to yourself. It's executing despite doubt, moving forward in exhaustion, doing what you said, especially when it's hard. And that's where transformation truly lives, not in fireworks, not in applause, but in the small defiant acts of self-respect. Every time you rise in defiance of your emotions, you build belief in yourself. Every time you act despite feeling empty, you teach yourself something crucial. You can be trusted. And when you begin to trust yourself, truly everything changes. So when you act, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would, you begin to build something priceless, self-trust. And self-trust is the bedrock upon which self-belief is built. You don't develop confidence by chanting affirmations in the mirror. You don't become strong by wishing you were worthy. You earn it, brick by brick, through action, through integrity, through keeping your word to yourself when no one else is around to hold you accountable. The world can doubt you. Critics can sneer. Circumstances can collapse around you. But when you know, deep in your core, that you'll show up for yourself, no matter what. No, that's not just strength, that's freedom. That's a kind of power no one can take from you. It's not borrowed, it's not dependent, it's yours. The Stoics taught this truth clearly. Live by reason, not emotion. Why? Because emotions are waves. They rise and crash without warning. They are fleeting, volatile and often misleading. Like storms rolling across the sky, they shake the surface of your mind, but they do not define its depth. Emotions will tempt you. They'll whisper, "Take it easy. Just skip it today. Give up, it's too hard." They'll push you toward comfort, toward safety, toward escape. But here's the thing. Emotions are wired to help you survive, not to help you thrive. They are ancient signals designed to keep you safe and small. To protect you from pain, yes, but also to shield you from growth. They seduce you with the illusion of ease. But they rob you of excellence. Reason, on the other hand, sees clearly. It knows the path to greatness is built on discipline, that freedom isn't found in doing what feels good, but in doing what must be done. Reason sees past the moment. It sees the consequence. It knows that every action is a seed, and every act of discipline waters that seed. Every act of avoidance leaves it dry and forgotten. It's reason, not emotion, that separates those who rise from those who crumble. Reason reminds you, the work matters more than how you feel about it. And when you learn to choose action from reason again and again, regardless of the chaos within, that's when you become unstoppable. That's when you shift from living reactively to living intentionally, from merely existing and to becoming. The Stoic way is not about chasing goals. It's about setting standards. A goal is a hope. I hope I can get there. A standard is a decision. I refuse to fall. Below this line, waking up early? That's a standard. Training your mind and body? A standard. Learning something new, no matter how small. That, too, can be your standard. Build your days around these non-negotiable standards, because motivation is fragile. It wavers, it fades. But standards hold you steady through the storm. Chapter 4. The resistance of comfort. But here's where the real trap lies. Comfort. It's seductive, isn't it? It strokes your ego and says, you've done enough. You've earned a break. You can relax a little. And so you do, just for a moment. But that moment stretches into hours, then days, and before you know it, your sharp edge is gone. The Stoics didn't reject beauty or pleasure. They didn't despise luxury, but they understood a deeper truth. Too much comfort dulls the blade of the mind. It erodes resilience. It weakens your ability to face pain when life eventually brings it, because it will. Comfort is not a reward. It's an anesthetic, and the more you allow it, the softer you become, not just in body but in spirit. The more you let comfort govern your life, the softer you become, not just in body, but in mind and spirit. And a soft mind cannot withstand the storms of life. It collapses under pressure. It retreats at the first sign of discomfort. It doesn't seek growth. It seeks escape. Comfort tricks you. It creates the illusion of safety, all while quietly chipping away at your strength, one small indulgence at a time. It whispers, you've earned this. Struggle is optional. You can push that effort to tomorrow. And slowly, silently, it weakens you. But life is not easy, and it doesn't wait for you to prepare. The longer you live in comfort, the less ready you are to face the inevitable discomfort that life will eventually bring your way. There will be no warning, no signal flare. Reality doesn't ask if you're ready. And when it arrives, comfort will have left you defenseless. The battle of you versus you is rarely fought in dramatic moments. It's not a grand clash with trumpets sounding. It's not played out on stages or in public arenas. It's fought in silence, in the smallest corners of your daily life, in your bedroom, your kitchen, your workspace, when no one's watching, when no one will ever know, except you. It's in the decision to stay in bed 5 more minutes when you promised yourself you'd rise early. It's in the choice to skip the workout because the couch feels a little too comfortable today. It's in that quiet voice that says, you've done enough, when deep down, you know you haven't. It's in the temptation to scroll endlessly, instead of reading, to avoid the hard conversation, to put off the difficult task, to let one bad day turn quietly into a bad week. It's in the moment you whisper to yourself, tomorrow, when today was your only guarantee. Comfort is resistance, in disguise. It is not neutral. It is an active opponent, a cunning enemy wearing the mask of kindness. It smiles at you, pretending to offer relief while secretly stealing your strength. Every time you surrender to it, you give away a piece of yourself, your willpower, your self-respect, your potential. You trade long-term growth for short-term relief. You sacrifice the future for the comfort of the moment. Comfort makes you feel safe. But in reality, it's a cage dressed as a sanctuary. It doesn't strike like a hammer. It erodes like water, slowly wearing away the stone of your spirit until one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize what's left. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that the real struggle is not with pain or hardship, but with the desire to avoid it. Luxury and ease are not evil, but attachment to them is dangerous. Because when you lean on comfort too often, it becomes dependency. And dependency, they said, is the root of all weakness. But the moment you begin to see comfort as the real resistance, something shifts. The moment you recognize that choosing ease over effort is giving power to the weaker version of yourself, you begin reclaiming that power. You start to see clearly that the tiny, almost invisible decisions you make today will either forge your future or fracture it. So how do you break free from the trap of comfort? How do you loosen its quiet grip on your life? You begin by confronting your own craving for ease, by questioning the little lies it tells you. That was enough. You've earned a break. It can wait until tomorrow, but it can't. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. You start freeing yourself the moment you stop believing that comfort is a reward. The moment you choose to lean into discomfort, to embrace struggle not as punishment, but as a path to strength. Because each time you choose challenge over ease, you're not just completing a task. You're building something far more valuable than comfort. You're building yourself. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't bend to temptation, who doesn't flinch when things get hard, but stands taller, firmer, stronger because of it. Every hard choice is a brick, and every brick laid in discomfort adds to the foundation of your inner strength. So when the inevitable storms of life come, when chaos rages, when everything around you begins to crumble, you will not be swept away, because your core was forged in challenge, not in convenience. Make discomfort your daily discipline, not in massive extreme ways, but in small, consistent acts. Take cold showers. Go for walks, runs, or bike rides when your body begs to stay still. Lift heavier weights. Do push-ups, sit-ups. Say no to things that bring comfort but not growth, because your mind sharpens when your body resists ease. Chapter 5. Identity is everything. The Stoics knew something essential. Your actions shape your identity. They didn't believe that identity was a gift you were born with, or something the world had the power to give or take away. They knew it's something you build, slowly, deliberately, through repetition and choice. Every action you take, every habit you nurture, every decision you make is a chisel stroke on the sculpture of your character. You don't become who you are in grand moments. You become who you are in the quiet, repetitive, unseen hours. That's why the battle of you versus you is not about achieving external milestones. It's about becoming someone internal, someone real, someone solid. It's not about titles, not about trophies or applause. It's about the kind of person you build day after day, through your habits, your disciplines, your small choices, because identity is not fixed. It's not written in stone. It's fluid, alive, and it changes depending on whether you rise or fall to the level of your habits. If you see yourself as weak, you'll behave like it. If you see yourself as disciplined, your actions will follow. See yourself as a victim, and you'll act powerless. See yourself as unstoppable, and you'll start to move that way, one step at a time. The way you see yourself becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's the beauty of it. Identity isn't something static, it's not out of your hands. It's something you build, brick by brick, choice by choice. Each decision you make today is one more brick laid in the person you're becoming, and the stronger the bricks, the stronger the foundation. That's why the Stoics emphasized intentional living. Because identity is not just some abstract concept, it's something real. It's built in the trenches of daily life. in the moments where no one is watching. When Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations, he wasn't performing for others. He wasn't writing for praise. He was writing to remind himself of who he wanted to be. He was aligning himself with his values, his responsibilities, his higher self, brick by brick, reflection by reflection, page by page. That is the essence of identity. A never-ending conscious effort to close the gap between who you are now and who you're meant to become, even when no one sees it, even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unnoticed. You must still choose to show up, because identity is not forged in moments of applause. It is built in silence. That's why the internal battle never ends. It's not a one-time decision. It's not sealed by one victory or a string of good days. Identity is a process, slow, relentless, layered, like sediment settling beneath your feet, choice by choice, habit by habit, moment by moment. It's shaped in those small, invisible decisions you make when no one is watching, when there are no rewards, no recognition. Just you, choosing whether to live aligned with the person you want to become. It's sculpted in the early mornings when your alarm goes off and your first instinct is to stay in bed, but you rise anyway. It's formed in the late nights when quitting seems easier, but you choose to push a little more. It's defined in the hours the world sleeps, while your mind is still battling doubt, and yet you keep going. Identity doesn't arrive overnight. It doesn't reveal itself in fireworks or transformation montages. It emerges in fragments, in subtle, often overlooked moments of choice. It lives in the space between comfort and resistance, in how you handle boredom, how you face temptation, how you endure stress, how you rise to adversity, when you choose effort over ease, when you lean into resistance instead of running from it. You vote for your future self. Every day is a vote. Every action, no matter how small it may seem, is casting a ballot for strength or weakness, for discipline or distraction, for growth or stagnation, for the future you want or the one you're settling for. These votes aren't loud. They don't feel dramatic. But like drops of rain carving a canyon, their persistence is what makes them powerful. And in time, they shape the architecture of your character, brick by unseen brick. The Stoics remind us, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Your identity is not what you claim you want. It's what you consistently choose to do. So if you want to know who you're becoming, don't look at your dreams. Look at your patterns. Look at what you do repeatedly when no one's holding you accountable. That is your identity in motion. And here's a practice. Each night before you sleep, write down 3 small actions you took that day that aligned with the person you want to be. Not accomplishments, just actions. Did you stay disciplined? Did you speak with integrity? Did you choose courage over comfort? This will teach your mind to value who you are becoming, not just what you are doing. Chapter 6. The Mirror of Adversity. The Stoics had a powerful belief. Adversity doesn't create your character. It reveals it. They knew life would never be free of struggle. They understood that challenges, discomfort, and obstacles are not detours. They are the road itself. And it is within these storms, in these trials, that the truth of who you really are emerges. How you respond in the hardest moments is more than just a sign of your strength. It's a reflection of your values, your mindset, and the internal structure you've been quietly building all along. In the arena of you versus you, adversity is the ultimate mirror. It doesn't flatter you. It doesn't lie. It shows you, without filter or excuse, whether you've been training or just talking, whether you've been building strength or simply pretending. Adversity strips away all illusions. It peels off the layers of talk, appearance, and intention, and exposes the truth beneath. It doesn't care what you say you value. It demands that you prove it. When discomfort comes knocking, when pain, fear, or uncertainty show up uninvited, you are faced with the most honest question of all. Will you rise or will you retreat? Will you stand firm or fold? When no one is looking but you. Because this isn't about performance under the spotlight. It's about performance in solitude, when the crowd is gone, when the applause is silent, when the burden feels too heavy to carry. That is when your true character is revealed. Most people wish adversity away. They pray for calm skies, for the storm to pass quickly so they can return to peace and ease. They see obstacles as interruptions, inconveniences that derail their plans. They curse the sky and ask, why does life have to be so difficult? But the Stoics, they saw it differently. They taught that adversity is not what stands in the way, it is the way. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances. Action, what stands in the way, becomes the way." Adversity is not an obstacle. It is the proving ground of your identity, the furnace that forges your inner steel. It is the test you secretly know you need, even if you wish you didn't have, to face it. Because deep down you know, without adversity there is no refinement, no growth, no self-respect. Each hardship that shows up in your life and is not a punishment, it's a mirror, a brutally honest reflection of your preparation, your habits, your principles. When adversity knocks, you get a chance to see, have you actually been growing, or just going through the motions? Not how well you talk about discipline, but how well you live it when no one is clapping, when it hurts, when you want to quit. When the weight feels unbearable, hardship strips away all decoration, leaving your character bare. It reminds you that talk is cheap and performance under pressure is everything. Each challenge is an invitation to test yourself against yourself, to measure whether your actions truly match your values when pressure is high and comfort is gone. Because adversity is not just a wall to push through. It is the classroom where you learn what discipline really means. It asks, are you willing to choose what is right over what is easy? Are you still committed when no one sees you? And here's the beauty of it. No matter how painful the test, each hardship gives you a new chance to rewrite your answer to the question, who are you when it's hard? Who are you when there's no comfort, no shortcut, no guarantee? Who are you when you have nothing left to prove, but everything left to build? It is in these moments, when you are bent but not broken, tired but still moving, that you finally meet the real you. In that mirror of adversity, you don't just see your reflection. You are handed the tools to reshape it. Every difficulty you face, every obstacle you overcome is not just a wound. It is another brick in the foundation of your resilience, and slowly, that foundation becomes unshakable. Greatness is not born in the absence of struggle. It is born in the presence of relentless challenge. And when you finally learn to stop fearing adversity, when you stop praying for ease and instead embrace the fire, you shift your entire life. You no longer wish for an easier path. You begin building the strength to walk the harder one. You stop running from storms. You become the storm. And as you face each wave of adversity, don't just survive it. Study it. Ask yourself, what is this challenge revealing about me? Am I calm or reactive? Disciplined or avoidant? This kind of honest reflection, not for anyone else, just for yourself, shows you exactly who you are and where you still need to grow. Chapter 7. Self-respect. Through self-discipline, self-respect, it's not something you can demand. It's not something you can buy, and it certainly can't be faked. It's something you earn, in private, in silence, in the quiet corners of life where no one else is watching. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that true confidence doesn't come from applause, from recognition or external validation. It comes from one place only: discipline. From the ability to govern yourself when the world isn't looking. Because in the end, your opinion of yourself is the most important measure of your worth. Self-respect is not built in dramatic moments. It's built in small victories over yourself. Every time you make a promise to yourself and keep it, you're casting a vote for the stronger, more reliable version of who you are becoming. And with each vote, you lay another brick. Brick by brick, decision by decision, even when it feels insignificant, you are building self-respect. It may not feel heroic at the time. Maybe it's showing up at the gym. Maybe it's finishing that chapter you said you'd read. Maybe it's choosing to do the mundane thing instead of escaping into distraction. But every time you follow through, you plant a seed. And over time, those seeds grow deep roots in the soil of your identity. But what happens when you break those promises? You weaken the very structure you're trying to build. You teach yourself that your word doesn't matter, that your intentions are flexible, and that fracture, it grows, quietly, dangerously, because the promise you make to yourself is the most sacred agreement of all. It's the foundation of your self-respect, your self-belief, and your inner strength. If you can't trust yourself, how can you ever believe in yourself? And if you don't believe in yourself, no amount of praise, no external approval, no spotlight or standing ovation can fill the emptiness inside. Because external admiration is meaningless when your internal opinion of yourself is broken. That's why self-discipline is the bedrock of trust. Not discipline as punishment, not rigid control or perfectionism, but consistent, quiet commitment to the things that matter most. It's the steady resolve to do the right thing, even when it's inconvenient, even when you're tired, even when no one will ever know. The Stoics believed this was the path to a good life, not through fame or power, but through integrity, where your actions align with your principles, not because someone's watching, but because you are. Because there is one audience you can never lie to, never hide from, and that is yourself. And when you abandon discipline, you hand your life over to every impulse, every distraction, every fleeting desire. You become a passenger, tossed around by circumstance, pretending you have no control. But the truth is, you always have control. The question is, will you take it? When you don't cultivate discipline, you become a passenger in your own life, dragged by the winds of the world, by emotions, temptations, and the chaos outside. But when you begin to build discipline, everything changes. You take back the wheel. You reclaim control. You prove to yourself again and again that you can show up, follow through, and keep your word. You silence the voice in your head that says you can't through your own actions. And then you discover one of the greatest powers a human being can possess, the certainty that you will not betray yourself, the knowing that when you say, "I'll do it," it will get done, not through grand dramatic acts, but through quiet, persistent discipline in moments no one sees, no one cheers. It's just you, with yourself. That is the fertile ground where true self-trust and self-respect are planted. And you don't need to start with something monumental. Just one small promise each day and never break it. Maybe it's a morning walk, 5 minutes of meditation, or simply reading a single page from a book. Something small, but you keep your word. From those small commitments, the habits of self-worth and inner strength begin to grow. And that's where you start to change. Step by step. Chapter 8. The Prison of Comparison. Next, we step into an invisible prison. A subtle enemy in the war of you versus you comparison. The Stoics taught us clearly, comparison is a trap, and not just a trap, but a pathway to misery. Because the moment you start measuring your worth by the achievements, wealth, beauty, or timeline, Of others. You've handed over your peace to forces that lie completely outside your control. You've allowed your inner world to be dictated by someone else's circumstances, by someone else's story, by a life that is not your own. And the very moment you do that, you surrender your serenity. You give away your power. In the battle of you versus you, comparison is one of the most deceptive weapons. It disguises itself as ambition. It parades as motivation, but at its core it's a parasite, feeding on your insecurity, draining your energy, stealing your focus. It whispers that you're not moving fast enough, that your progress means nothing unless it outpaces someone else's, that success only matters when it makes others look smaller. But the Stoics remind us, again and again, there's only one person you should compare yourself to. The version of you from yesterday. Not your neighbor, not your colleague, not the influencer with a highlight reel on social media. Just you. You, one day ago. But in today's world, comparison is everywhere. Social media, headlines, perfectly curated posts and lifestyles designed to make you feel like you're falling behind in a race you never agreed to run. But the Stoic way is to step off that treadmill, to redirect your gaze inward, to come back to what you can control. Your effort, your discipline, your progress, on your own terms. Because in the end, it doesn't matter how you compare to others. It only matters if you're closing the gap between who you are now and who you know you could be. Every second you spend comparing yourself to someone else is a second stolen from the only battle that truly matters, the battle of you versus you. So instead of comparing yourself to others, do something far more powerful. Reflect on yourself. Each evening, take a moment to pause and look inward. Write down 3 ways you improved compared to the day before. They don't have to be big. Small improvements count because they compound. Forget the world's scoreboard. Ignore what everyone else is doing. Focus on your own growth. That's the only score that truly matters. Chapter 9. Ownership of your fate. The Stoics believed in a radical idea, simple yet powerful enough to change your life. You are responsible for everything within your control, and nothing else. In the battle of you versus you, ownership is your most powerful weapon. It's the line between freedom and slavery. Not physical slavery, but the kind where you're a prisoner of your own excuses. You cannot control what happens to you. Not people's opinions, not the economy, not the weather. You can't control fate, you can't control how others treat you, and you definitely can't force the world to be fair. But here's what you can control: your response, your effort, your discipline, your attitude, your decisions, and most importantly, your inner narrative. When you take full ownership of these, you reclaim your freedom. You stop giving your power away to external forces you were never meant to control. You stop waiting and start owning your life. But most people don't live that way. They live their lives caught in the illusion of powerlessness, as if life is happening to them, never through them. As if they're mere spectators in a story they didn't write. They wake up each day wearing invisible chains, believing the world owes them something. They blame their circumstances. They point fingers at their childhood, their trauma, their luck. They tell themselves, if only the world were fair, if only people were kinder, if only I'd been dealt a better hand, then they'd be happy. Then they'd feel free. Then their lives would finally begin. But the Stoics saw this clearly. Victimhood is easy. Blame requires no effort. It demands no change, no courage, no responsibility. It's comforting because it offers an excuse. It lets you stay exactly where you are while pretending you have no choice. But every time you choose blame, you surrender your power. You reinforce the lie that you're helpless, that your life is at the mercy of others, that your future belongs to circumstances, not to you. And here's the part most people never see, that illusion of helplessness. It's self-created. That prison you feel trapped in. It wasn't built by the world, not by society, not by your parents, not by bad luck. It was built by your own refusal to take responsibility. The walls were raised by your unwillingness to say, "This is on me," and as long as you avoid that truth, you will stay in that cage, waiting for the world to change so you can finally feel free. But here's the truth. The world doesn't have to change. You do. Your freedom begins the moment you stop waiting for permission and start owning everything that's within your control. So many people go through life waiting for the storm to pass, waiting for the world to get easier, waiting for peace to arrive from the outside. But what they don't realize is this: they were never meant to wait out the storm. They were meant to become it. The Stoics taught that true freedom comes only when you fully accept responsibility for your thoughts, your actions, your choices, your destiny. And this kind of ownership, it isn't just about what you do, it's about how you think. It's about stepping away from the role of passive observer and stepping fully into the role of active creator in your life. It's about rejecting the tired story of victimhood and instead standing tall. Even when life knocks you to your knees, it's about choosing in your own voice with your own conviction to say, "I will not blame, I will not complain, I will not make excuses, I will own my life." Because ownership is liberation. It's the moment you stop negotiating with your limitations and start negotiating with your potential. It's the inner shift where you stop fighting to control the world and start directing your focus toward the one thing you can always influence, yourself. And in that self-control lies your true freedom. That's how you win the battle of you versus you. Not by waiting for the perfect moment. Not by demanding the world bend to your will, but by bending yourself, your mind, your habits, your narrative, to meet the challenge head-on. You don't become powerful by chasing a life with no obstacles. You become powerful when you're no longer bothered by them, because the moment you stop waiting for the world to change and start changing yourself, you become unstoppable. You begin to see that all the things you used to curse, the difficulties, the setbacks, the pain, were never working against you. They were training you. They were the proving grounds of your strength, the forges of your character. And that's when you realize something life-changing. The key to your freedom was in your hands all along. The world doesn't have to change for you to be free. You only have to change yourself. So next time you feel the urge to complain, to blame, to fall back into the old narrative, pause, ask yourself, what part of this is within my control? Then, put all your energy there. Chapter 10. You versus you, the endless battle. And now we come to the final truth. There is no finish line. There is no magical moment when you arrive, when all your doubts vanish, when your fears disappear, and you suddenly become invincible. That moment doesn't exist, because the battle of you versus you is endless, not because you're broken, not because you're failing, but because you are human. You are wired to wrestle with yourself, to face fear, to face doubt, to face weakness, again and again. And that is not a flaw in your design, it's the very process by which you evolve. It's the human condition, this never-ending tension between who you are now and who you are capable of becoming. The Stoics understood. Life is not a straight line toward perfection. It's a winding path of refining, failing, rising, falling, and adjusting. It's getting knocked down and learning how to get back up better. It's the rhythm of effort and rest, of gain and loss, of expansion and contraction. You will never be fully free of the inner critic. You will never erase all fear, all temptation, all insecurity, but you can learn to rise above them, again and again. You can learn to face those voices, not as enemies, but as quiet companions walking beside you, Because the goal was never to silence them forever. The goal is to become so practiced in facing them that they no longer have power over you. Rewritten script, page 16. Stoic Havenway style. And so you begin to see clearly those inner voices of fear, doubt, and hesitation are not barriers to overcome. They are part of the terrain. They are the landscape of the battlefield where you shape who you are, and the victory in this battle. It's not a one-time event. It's not marked by applause, or trophies, or spotlight. It is not a prize you win and carry proudly forever. No, it is a way of living. It is the daily decision to face yourself honestly, to confront the weaker voice inside, and to choose the stronger path again and again. It is the choice to rise when you'd rather stay down, to take one more step forward when everything inside you screams to quit. It's speaking truth, especially when silence would be easier. It's holding yourself accountable when excuses feel more comfortable. It's having the courage to keep going even when it feels like you're fighting the same battle over and over again. Because that battle, it's not a punishment, it's your training ground, the place where your spirit is forged, the ring where your real work in life happens. Because the battle of you versus you is not some temporary challenge. It is the most important war you will ever wage, and it never ends with a single victory. This isn't a duel you win and walk away from. This is a lifelong campaign. It is fought every morning when you wake up, every evening when you reflect, every moment in between when you must choose. Will I rise or will I retreat? And when, through relentless effort, you learn to master your own mind, something remarkable happens. You unlock a strength that no outside force can take from you. You become unbreakable, not because the world got easier, but because you got stronger. The storms of life will still come. They will rage like hurricanes, tearing down the fragile structures built on weakness. But you will not crumble. You will bend, but you will not break. The critics will shout from the sidelines. They will try to define you, shrink you, provoke you, but you will meet their noise with silence. Why? Because you already won the argument within. The obstacles will rise, again and again, tall, terrifying, unpredictable, but you will move through them. Not because they disappeared, but because you outgrew them. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You transformed, slowly, deliberately, through every hard decision, every small victory, every quiet moment of discipline when no one was watching, and quitting seemed like the easier way. And one day, you'll look back. And you'll understand. The storms, the critics, the obstacles, they were never your real enemies. They were simply reflections of the war within you, because again and again, you made the choice to win the most important battle that exists. The battle of doubt versus action, of fear versus courage, of weakness versus will. And when you finally grasp this truth, when you stop chasing an ending, when you stop searching for a day where the fight is over, the work is done, and the struggle disappears, you'll awaken to the most liberating realization of all. You were never meant to arrive. There is no final destination, no flawless peak, no perfect day where you'll declare, I'm complete. There is no moment where fear vanishes forever, where effort is no longer needed, where doubt dissolves completely. So no, this battle was never meant to be won once and for all. It was never about reaching some perfect summit where struggle vanishes and you're finally done. The truth is far more powerful and more liberating than that. You were meant to evolve. You were meant to sharpen, to stumble and rise, to stretch beyond what you once thought possible. You were meant to fall and rise and fall again. Not as failure, but as part of the process that shapes you. Because every time you rise, every time you face yourself and choose strength over weakness, discipline over comfort, truth over excuse, you are being carved, you are being molded, you are being sculpted into the next, braver, clearer, more grounded version of yourself. The person you are today, that's just the foundation. Tomorrow, you'll build more on it. And the day after that, more still. You are a work in progress, not because you're broken, but because you are capable of so much more. And when you stop resisting the process and when you stop expecting it to end, you finally begin to feel it. This isn't a burden. It's freedom. It's not something you have to do, it's something you get to do. You get to rise, you get to improve, you get to evolve. Every single day is a chance to show up again, not because you must, but because you can. Because the only true end is stagnation, complacency, surrender. And that is not your path. Your path is to rise again and again, to keep showing up, not for perfection, but for progress. So each morning before you step into the world, pause and remind yourself, today I will win the battle within. Write it down, say it out loud, then go live it. Decision by decision, moment by moment, day by day. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, if you felt seen, challenged, or even just a little bit stronger, then don't let it end here. Subscribe to Stoic Havenway and join a community of warriors committed to this same path. We're not chasing perfection. We're choosing discipline. We're choosing resilience. We're choosing to rise again and again together. Like this video if it resonated. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And comment below, what does your battle within look like today? This is not the end. This is just another beginning. See you in the next video. And until then, stay grounded, stay rising, stay stoic.